Welcome to another episode of TDGS Reviews. We are reviewing Euphoria season two. This is season two, episode two. What was the title called again? Out of Touch. Yeah, Out of Touch. Um, I'm here with some of my mutuals on either on YouTube and TikTok. Here we got Jenna. We have Harry. How you doing? And one of my good friends here on YouTube, El Teddy.
Hey, hey.
How y'all doing today?
Good,
Good,
good.
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 Okay. not it was like not it was like I know Mondays are usually uneventful. I can speak
But
on
also, this episode was just a lot for me.
it
You know,
was
today is Martin Luther King Day. I'm
That
just
part.
saying to you.
That part.
period.
Yeah. Whew.
Well, episode two aired. I want to get your guys' first initial thoughts of the episode. I'll go first. Sorry, I just was like, yeah, I just had it on my mind. I don't know. I felt like it was. I was very worried about the episode first going in because I thought it was going to be. It seemed a little like slower, and I'm like, come on, that's not. We can't just come from this episode and everything just be so anticlimactic. But towards the end, it started to pick up. Um, I give it a good. I give it a B if I were to rate it. What y'all think?
Free Cassie.
Um,
Free Cassie.
are we
From the
freeing Cassie?
shackles.
Free
Is she?
Cassie?
Does she
Right,
need
you can
to?
treat her
Cassie,
nothing.
Cassie enchained herself.
Free
Cassie,
Cassie. Free
she,
Cassie. Free Maddie. Free.
free
Just free her.
Maddie. I will say free Maddie. I definitely will say free Maddie. But Cassie did this to herself. She brought this upon herself. I don't, as far as the episode goes, I will say, I will give the episode a B plus.
Okay.
I kind of wanted Maddie to find out if I'm not
You
like
wanted her to get beat up.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
You know they're gonna make us wait.
Yeah.
I gave it a B minus.
Okay.
And that, for me, that's high for
Right.
me.
Uh-huh.
For me to give a B minus. Like I
Okay.
gave it like a 81, 82-ish. So like a 81.
Mm-hmm.
So the other reason, like, I feel like even though we're focusing on Cassie and Nate, I also just feel like it was lackluster in the way of Jules and Rue.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
like the way Jules immediately got in her feelings about Elliot was
Okay. Because
weird to me.
yeah.
I thought it was weird because I thought Jules peeped game and was like, oh, she's still doing drugs, but the whole thing was you think that she talking to Elliot, which
Right.
I'm like,
She's
okay.
literally in
She
love with
definitely
you.
thinks they're banging. She definitely thinks that, she's sliding down the pole.
Not the
But
whole.
Jules be doing too much for me. She be doing too much.
What? I like
I think
Jules.
Why you don't like her?
I think Jules has dated cishet men for so
Mm-hmm.
long, or not really dated, but she's interacted romantically with cishet men for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that she's kind of waiting. I feel like with Rue, she's kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just Rue being an addict.
Yeah. But see, I think I watch a lot of films and I pick up on certain things. I have a feeling, and I was talking to one of my mutuals on TikTok on live the other day, and I have a feeling about Rue and Elliot. And if that's the case, I'm gonna be really mad at Rue. I think
You
it's
think
just
she gonna freak with Elliot? Like
I
she
think
gonna be with
so
him?
because the way they scenes are set up, the way they was interacting with each other, and then like that person that Elliot was talking to, I guess at his house, saying, "Oh, who you had at the house? Like, yeah, you always say you got friends over," and it was like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
because he never had people over. But my thing about it is, the reason I say Rue is doing too much, Rue, you knew, not Rue, I mean, Jules is doing too
Jules.
much. Jules, you knew who Rue was. You know who she is for a while. So I wouldn't even be all excited. I wouldn't even get all into these emotions that she got into. Because she's the whole crackhead.
I
You
feel
know
like
that. She
I,
is. I
I feel
Mm-mm.
can't
like
get mad if my crackhead uncle, when he come by my house, I got something missing. I let him in my house. I know he gonna steal something. take it down to the pawn and get him some money so he could buy him some crack. That's what crackhead.
Child.
And you mad at Ruth
Right.
because she got crackhead tendencies.
I feel
I
like
don't think she's. I don't think she's mad at her because she has crackhead tendencies. Like I said, I think she's been around. She's been dating toxic men for so long. She's just waiting for Rue to be like, "Oh, I really don't like you like that," or I'm just here for a good time and not a long time. Um, and that's just kind of what it is. She's not seeing the addiction part of it. She's aware that it's there, but she's not seeing that part because she's so wrapped up in her own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if Rude does end up messing with what's his name, Elliot, I feel like it
Mhm.
would just be more of a like because he's in close proximity thing. Like maybe if her and Jules fall out or if they break
Mm-hmm.
up, and if he's just there.
Yeah.
But she doesn't give me like I don't feel like she views him that way. I feel like she just views him as somebody who understands her because to me, like one of the most pivotal scenes of the episode was when she talked about how like drugs make her feel normal. You know, drugs gave her the opportunity, like the ability to be able to approach him and talk to him. Whereas if she would have been off of them, she would have been far too anxious, far too nervous. So I feel like this is just someone she relates to and less of like a romantic thing. But maybe that's just me.
I do feel like if Elliot and Ruth have sex, I think Elliot is just like flip the script, because he seems like one of those introverted people who
Mm-hmm.
really, like the friend said, he's not around a lot of people. He doesn't do anything, and I think he's going to have sex with her, kind of get way into his feelings, and like morph into like this other person. Like I could see that. I could see that
Like in a
happening.
good or bad way.
In his eyes, a good way, probably for Rue, a bad way, because I feel like he would get real clingy in a way that
Oh,
Rue doesn't want. And then that'll spark up situations with Jules. And you can tell Rue kind of likes how it is now, where he doesn't seem to really care a whole lot. It's just fun to be around because there's no attachment. But I
and
feel
they
like
relate.
if she slides down the pole, he is going to kind of probably flip and and kind of get clingy and want to do things that might be good on his in his eyes, but in Ruby's eyes, be like, yeah, I don't want to watch this
Mm.
because he doesn't. People, that's not what he's used to, and I think she'll. I could see that happening. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with their little situationship or whatever. Well, not hopefully not, because I don't want to see them because I feel like he's kind of enabling Rue.
Yeah.
Like,
No, no,
Yeah,
not kind. No, 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 not kind of. He is
no, absolutely.
one
He
yeah,
thousand
is.
percent. Let's get it clear.
and then
Yes.
I think Jules is, and someone said this, and I'm like, I think Jules when Rue was with Jules, it was a toxic relationship. I'm like, Rue was
It
the
Elliot,
was
one being
it was
toxic.
toxic for
but
Jules, if
Elliot
anything.
had it at least twice. You sure I'm not, causing, it, he kind of alluded to him being toxic for her at least twice this episode. He kind of was like, "You sure this is the best friend?"
Yeah, because he even said it. He definitely said
Yeah,
it. He was like, He was like, maybe this friendship isn't good. Maybe
right.
we don't bring the best out of each other. And Rue was like, well, maybe I don't like it that way. And I was like, oh, girl.
She really likes it because I feel like she feels like he's the one person like who won't judge because like he gets it, and also I feel like she doesn't like he's not her mom, he's not Jules, he's not I forget what her sister's name is. Like people whose opinions actually matter to her. He's just this like random kid she met in the laundry room.
Which is why
So
I kind of feel like if they do have sex, it might flip, and she's gonna like not like it's gonna be bad for her.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like he'll start to be clingy if
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Rue don't need that, and I think that I think Rue needs some real help. That's what
Rehab.
she needs some rehab.
rehab is not healthy
Well,
for him.
yeah, because she's still doing stuff. I feel like she need that intervention, and we're gonna get that intervention soon. But I don't think we're gonna get it with Elliot. So I don't trust this man. He too new. I don't like people that's too new up. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But
Mhm.
I
do
don't
we
like
think?
the
I don't think it's. I
that.
don't think it's gonna be Elliot though. I really don't think. I feel like Elliot is just kind of like he's here for the ride. He's
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
cool, I'm cool, but like it ain't
Mhm.
no there's no pressure there, and
yeah.
that's what I'm getting. I'm getting more. This is Rue's way of like Rue's like using him essentially is what she's
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
doing.
I feel like the writers are investing time in this Rue Elliot
Same.
situationship,
Mhm.
and I don't think it would be for not or for no reason. Like I feel like something's going to there's a connection here or whatnot. I don't know. Rue needs some help though. She does
She needs to
bad.
take some time for herself. She don't need to be with nobody.
Yeah.
Like,
We were saying that with Issa with Insecure, like she don't even know nobody. Okay. She know she's
Yeah,
spiraling. She is
you know how it was
spiraling.
on Eat, but she'll
I'm
need to
dead.
eat it real toxic. Oh dear
But let's
God.
let's let's uh let's timeline this episode. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. So the episode starts off with Nate. Oh, I said Nate being rushed to the hospital. Um, and I didn't think he was that. I mean, I know he got beat up, but I'm like, what? This is life or death? Like, what's going on? Like, yeah, he had episodes and stuff like that. Anyway, he had it was different montages of him and Cassie being together and having
Hmm.
a baby and the dad
There
being there.
was
you saw when
so
Jules kept popping up. You saw when Jules kept
it's
popping up.
Okay,
I
okay.
did see that.
Nothing
Yeah.
is
so the thing
nothing.
about that is like that whole thing with Nate and like I'm going to be honest the the sexual explicitness of this show makes me uncomfortable because of the age of
Yes.
these characters.
Yes.
So I do be watching like this is wild,
I
and
be
and
like,
then the
Right. So
fact,
I'll be like
right,
this, like
this is really wild, and then the
see.
fact that this is I don't know how old this man is, but it's definitely it's that
Hmm.
writes the show, but it's questionable.
Yeah.
Um, but in any case, I do. It was weird. Like I understand because I mean he had a lot of blunt force trauma to the head, so I can see his condition being life or death.
Hmm.
Because when you're dealing with the brain and all of that, you know,
He just kept on
it
punching. Like
can't.
he was.
Right.
y'all heard the bones
So,
cracking?
You said the bone. I didn't hear no bones cracking down. Hold
I
up.
heard that.
I'm
It reminded me of that episode of Scandal when Olivia whooped Andrew and killed him with the chair. I
Mm.
don't know if
Oh
y'all
my
saw it.
God. Really? Olivia did that?
Yeah.
Yes,
See,
she did.
I got to
She,
get into Scandal. I never watched
beat,
that show.
beat the crap
but
out of him.
I mean, I felt like Fez was getting revenge because ever since his grandmother popped him in the head with that crowbar,
Hmm.
to get
Oh my
but I
God.
don't think it was he was getting revenge for having
well,
to.
I just feel like as much blunt force trauma as offensive, I feel like that crowbar was far worse than Fez's
But he hit him
fist.
with the glass bottle first.
Huh?
So he hit him with the bottle first.
He hit him with the bottle, and when you hit somebody with
He
glass in the
did hit
head,
him with the bottle. Yeah.
and he kept on punching it, like that was some.
But I do like I feel like he was getting him back for having to like do all of that shit with his stash and then have to steal then he had to go steal the money, then he killed the dude. So at
Mm.
this point where Ashtray did. Ashtray killed the dude. So it was just kinda like you didn't put me through all of this, rigmarole I didn't have to
Right.
do. So I'm gonna take all this frustration out of your face.
Oh, not on your face. So now we see that a lot of the Cassie stands are down bad. They were down bad this episode. Cassie is depressed. Okay, everyone thinks it's because of the breakup with McKay, but no, it's the situation between her and Nate.
She don't give a fuck about McKay.
It's like she was going through it, but at the end of the day, like people was like, yeah, we don't care, because you slept with your best friend ex, like girl, that's weird as hell. Like, and I thought she was going to like kind of step back from everything and be like, okay, let me
You
just
do all
reevaluate. Like, how do you fall in love with somebody in a matter of like this had to be
No,
days?
she lost everybody when she snitched on Fezco. When she snitched on Fezco, I was like, bitch, you're done. Log out, take her off the
For some
show. You got
peen,
me
you want to
fucked
snitch
up.
on that man for some
No,
peen?
who got me was Lexi I was like, at first, I thought Lexi was trying to. Well, I guess we'll get there. We ain't got. I don't want to skip. Let me
All
roll
right.
back. Lexi kind of messed me up too. I was real mad at Lexi this episode.
For
But
what? She didn't do nothing.
Yeah, she ain't- what she
no,
do?
when the dad said, "Did she tell you why I'm here?"
But she didn't get a chance to get to that part. She didn't
Mm.
get a
But the
chance to
fact
get to
that
that
she
part.
told the
First of
dad
all, the
over
mom
there,
the mom shouldn't be letting nobody in her house. Like,
Talking to their
yeah,
kids like that. I'm
she.
like, this man ain't no. Who is this man? He ain't no cop.
like
But
the fact that
I do
Lexi took
think
it
Maddie is
over
starting to put two and two together. I
You
can't
think
wait till
Maddie's?
Maddie beat
You
her
think?
ass.
No,
I can't
yeah. That
wait till Maddie
time,
beat her
that
ass.
time she tried to call Nate, and then like he ain't pick up, and then she tried to call Cassie, and she ain't pick up, and she was like,
Right.
"Now hold up, wait a minute."
but I don't know that I would have put two and two together like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I probably
But
She,
see, like, okay, the reason I think she's starting to put two and two together is because when they were taking him to the hospital, when they were taking Nate to the hospital, she was like looking at Cassie's face as to like, because it's like, bitch, why are you so upset? Why are
yeah, she
you
was looking at
laying
her
with
like,
bloodshot eyes? Right? She was looking at her like, girl, what's going on? And
I mean,
then
and I'm my playing devil's advocate. We look at it from the, I guess, omniscient position of the viewer because we can see all of the angles. But if I was in the situation, honestly, I probably would not have thought. I wouldn't have just put them two together. And if
no,
and also the
I'm
part
a
where he was
person
in the
that dates
hospital.
as a person that dates cis men and is feminine and be around the other lot of femmes. I know, bitch, when you didn't did too fucking much. So what's up with you? Like what's the tea
The
with
man,
you? Like
listen,
like
no, 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 no. Listen, as a
Ah.
person who dates cis men as well.
no,
okay,
I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying like when you're around a bunch of girls, um, the energy is different
I've been around girls.
when you know
Stuff
something.
don't
Like bitch, I know something because
why
bitch,
you
why you
laughing at my
crying so
man Juke? Why
hard?
you laughing at my Why you laughing so hard at my
Right,
man
like
Juke?
I know something. Like what you crying so much for?
no,
You
no,
didn't
no.
even like him. You
If,
told me to leave him, so why you crying
if
up?
if she was gonna clock something, she should have clocked it at the goddamn party. Girls, real girls do real things. That's when the clocking should have happened. But when the man is
I mean,
hanging on the life, and this is a mutual friend, and y'all at the hospital, he's hanging on the life, it stands to reason that she might be a little verklempt. You know what I'm saying? Or a little bit, oh my God, I don't want him to die because it's just my friend.
mm-mm,
Damn near bleeding.
mm-mm.
Mm.
But they weren't even friends.
You know these high school girlies, they let stuff fester. Okay, they let it fester till it gets to a point where they ready to,
It all comes
Because
to
I'm
a
one of the
head.
people.
you
I'm
know.
not crying. I'm not. Especially if I didn't like my friends. Especially if I didn't like my friend's ex. I'm not. You. Oh, okay. Oh, he in the hospital. Oh my God, that is so sad, girl. But I'm
Yeah,
not about to cry. I'm
I'm
not
here for
crying.
you. I'm here for you. I'm not here
This
for.
Right.
was
I'm here for
fine. I'm
you, but I'm
like,
not crying.
Like,
Now,
whoop.
didn't he, or
I'm
did I
not
overlook
weeping.
that in the montage? Didn't he hold her hand? Now, that's the part,
Well, he
or
was
was that,
holding both their hands
huh?
because
yeah,
he was holding both their hands because he's a sick ass bitch. Um.
I feel like I think he probably wants he wants a what's it, a throuple.
Not.
so what I think. So like Nate to me has a horrible case of the Madonna horror complex.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is that?
as you know, as it was being explained by, Rue's narration, it was just basically like he saw her as like, the perfect girl because we all know what Nate's type is. Nate's type is, the
Vulnerable.
quintessential. Right, she's cute, she's adorable, she's is giving very much low key little pedo. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
she needs to be saved. She's a damsel in distress. She's pink and frilly and lace, and very much is giving bubbles.
Right.
Um, and so Maddie is all of those things, but Maddie is also very sexually aware. She has huge boobs. She has a great face. But she's also one of those girls, as Maddie said, like you love to be loved. Like you just you just need somebody to love you. You're like a little puppy dog in that way. And so I think like he sees her as somebody that he can protect,
Okay.
whereas he likes Maddie. he was, in like with Maddie or in love with Maddie. I don't know. I can't really say. Um, but he doesn't like how she is,
Mm-hmm.
towards him. Like
This whole
Cassie is the
situation
type.
on Cassie.
Cassie's the type to let people do anything because she wants to be loved. Maddie is not.
Blame
He
Maddie
was
Cassie
takes it.
dogging
on
Cassie
this
though. It seemed
situation.
like he confused though.
But no, Cassie to me is the bad guy in this whole situation.
Oh, she's
Cassie,
absolutely the bad guy in this situation. She's
when they was in
absolutely
that
the bad guy
car,
in this situation.
she wanted her back blown out when they was riding in the car. He was going 100 miles plus an hour. She wanted to
Mm-hmm.
fly down the pole at that point. Cassie, every time he'd be like, "No, we can't do this. No, don't put that in." She's always doing too much. When she was in that abandoned house or whatever, and he was running behind, she knew he was gonna run behind her.
Mm-hmm.
She, she's a mess. I don't feel bad for her at all, and I hope Maddie drag. I hope she drags her.
You know Maddie gonna do it, and I think that's what a lot of people are waiting on right now.
But I mean, essentially, we're not mad at, or we're not, because I'm not capable of Cassie at all. I definitely think Cassie's, Nate the villain, but like Cassie's the real villain here. So, but like I will say, like as far as the lengths that she's going
Mm-hmm.
to keep this up is a lot. It's definitely giving damsel in distress.
Yeah.
She plays it up very well.
So we got a little bit of a backstory with Kat. She is in a relationship, as we know. For I guess that happened last season. And everyone appears to find the relationship like going well, and a lot of people are like envious. Like Matt even said that your relationship is so well, like oh my god, like or something like that. But she doesn't feel that way. I feel, and what I got from the scenes that I've seen, I think that she's kind of like she's not satisfied by being with Ethan. He's with yeah, his name is Ethan.
I think so. Can someone explain like the significance of that like Viking scene and what she was saying like
So
in her
basically, she was
confusion?
kind of like basically she's bored. She's bored with
Yeah, she's
Ethan.
bored.
So
Yeah,
like she
Okay.
that's what she
needs
wants.
she needs something to like
Mhm.
arouse her. But like
Yeah,
Ethan, I mean, Ethan was always like Ethan gave me boring when he was all interested in her at first. But,
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
it was like, oh okay, like so he eat a little coochie, but like okay.
she wants the bad boy.
Like,
I need
Basically,
you to
she
stop.
wants the bad boy,
Yeah.
and not a bad boy.
She wants the type of dude that sent out that sex tape the first time. Like that's the type of dude that she tries
Yeah,
to rock
and,
with.
and,
Yeah.
and my thing is, it's like I love these characters to death, but it's like
Yes.
y'all want these toxic man.
How dumb can you be? How dumb can you be? Like no shade. Sometimes you just gotta tell it straight up, girl.
but but honestly, like, how many of us were making like these critical decisions at 16? We weren't. I
I
know
was
I
I was
wasn't.
playing I was playing basketball and going to class. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I
Well, I
wasn't
Whatever.
mean,
I
Look,
mean,
I'm
for
glad you
me,
were being responsible because I was
I,
not.
Jenna, Jenna, we're on the same page because when I look at these characters, I was thinking when I was in high school, I was going to band practice and going to class.
and I was
My
doing that
biggest
too.
concern,
Like
I
my
mean, and
biggest
that's
concern
fine.
was
Look, because
I
I
didn't
know
go
I
down to
wasn't.
class.
I was one of the like. Because I always say this, I would not be that interesting if I was gay, but because I was gay,
but were
and
you like doing like
and
all that they're doing, like all that
I
stuff?
wasn't doing all that. Well, because I'm black, so I wasn't doing all of that. But
Mhm.
but like I was going to parties and drinking and having sex and
Right.
talking. Yeah, like I was doing all of those things and I was skipping class and not giving a fuck and all of that stuff. So like it it makes sense
mm-hmm.
as to like, especially even though my parents were strict, but like I was an A1 liar. But like it makes sense because when you think about like the kids that parents are just let them do anything, or very just, oh, we trust you and da da da
Well,
da,
it's just a
or
whole
we're
lot of kids letting a whole lot, a whole lot of parents letting a whole lot of kids do a whole lot of everything.
well, and I always say this, and I always say, and I said this in the last episode, shows that are centered around teenagers, they tend to do a lot of extra that would not necessarily happen in real life. But that is not to say that these things don't actually happen, because there are people that have been to these house parties that get crazy, that get wild, where people get into fights, people, people, there are stories about rape and all of those things. Like, so I get it. It's not
I
as
mean, I think we
frequent.
all have been to a house party or two during high school. I mean, everybody, even
Right.
the
It's just not as
black
frequent.
people,
Yeah.
it's right. You might have one or two a year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's just not as
you have
frequent
Because they
because
like
you
going clubbing every weekend at somebody's house and drinking like
like
all this alcohol and doing all these drugs. I'm like,
Now, see,
are
I
you
was in a private school. We didn't do that type of stuff. Okay.
okay?
So this is very much foreign to me. But no, I get it. I get it. Everybody high school different. Like my cousin, she went to public school. She was telling me all the stuff that they were doing. I'm like, child.
And like
I mean, I
one
went
of
to
one of the
charter
high
school, but
one of the high schools I went to,
The charter schools be getting away with. They be doing stuff on the low.
one of the high schools I went to, like it was crazy. They would like we'd have fights like almost every day to the point like where they didn't even stop it. You just fought and you went to class. So like Harry, I understand like
Lord.
I like it was ghetto. It was the ghetto. It was fun, but it was the ghetto.
But also,
oh,
to circle back,
that
like,
was high school.
yeah.
Genocide, gangs, fighting, all of that stuff. It wasn't too much. You had your weed heads, but that was about it. You know, that
Yeah, it wasn't all this
everybody.
stuff. And another thing I
yeah,
wanted to
no,
say,
I'm not saying this is realistic. I don't
yeah,
think it's realistic, but I think parts of it are true. It's just too frequent to be true.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
I'm glad now that I'm grown. I'm kind of glad I did do all of that because
yes,
I'm glad that I had my high school innocence. Well, I could just be a child and not have to deal with because they're dealing with a lot of grown ass
Yeah.
shit. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with it as an adult. So I damn sure know as a high school,
You think it's the end of the world?
will I able to deal with it.
and
Mm-mm.
also another thing I was thinking about when I just watched the episode again is like, given everything that Rue went through, she went behind her mom's back. She did a bunch of drugs. She almost died, killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me how like lenient her mom is. I feel like compared to how I feel like other, I guess, black and minority parents would be, which would be like, you stay your ass in the house, you don't go nowhere, you don't even have a phone, you don't breathe unless I know. Like, because she's like, oh, can I just go stay at such and such house? Can I go to this party? I don't know. I still find that to be,
Because for a child that's on rehab, you got a
yeah,
whole lot of freedom.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I think the reason, one, because once again, this is not a realistic show.
right, right.
Like, or there are realistic things that are happening, but the frequency of how they happen is not, realistic. Or the magnitude in which they're happening is not realistic.
Okay.
But I also think, especially for like Rue's mom, I feel like she may feel if I stop her or I try to control the situation, I'm going to end up losing her again. So
well,
if I try to keep her in this place, or I try to keep her with all of these constraints, will she just find a way to do drugs again?
Well, I mean, she's already blowing her head off every weekend.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
I mean,
This
it's
is
like,
true.
you could either way. At least if I'm the mom, I would feel like hell. She already out of control right now. Ain't nothing stopping her right now. So
I mean, true, but like also, right? I mean, and that's factual. I mean, but like, how many? I mean, I grew up in strict. I grew up in a strict home. My parents were very strict, but I also found a way around a lot of that shit. So
yeah.
like, it's like
but the point
you can be
is,
as strict
I
as you
think the
want
point
to,
is
but
you're
like,
missing
there's always a loophole.
But Harry, the point is, you started off talking about how you were great at lying, finding a loophole, or finding a
I
way.
was.
You ain't good at that. That's not her thing. She's been caught. You in rehab. That changes the game.
Right, because that man
Okay.
went to that rehab thing when she was, or that AA or whatever that thing was. That man seen that.
NA.
She seen what was going on. I'm like, I'm driving you home. You ain't.
You're right. 'Cause it's
Rue is too aimless, and I need
it's a train wreck.
I
She's
need
a
this,
whole train wreck.
I need this intervention to happen real soon. Do y'all know how many episodes is in
I
this season?
remember she gonna end up
I
dead
think
because
10.
she had to tell him give me Adderall because I can't feel my heart, and I don't know what's happening
Yeah, that
here.
shit was wild. I was like, yo, the fact that she
Like,
had that down to a science, she had that shit
and
down
then
to
she was
a
like, "There
science.
you heart, there you are." Like, bitch,
I'm like, this is.
I almost died. And Elliot sitting there just as cool. Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Nah,
what I'm like.
he was a little concerned. He was like, yo, this is wild.
I don't
Um,
trust nobody with face tattoos. I'm just gonna put that out there in the atmosphere.
I don't trust.
You got a tattoo on your face. I don't trust you.
Well, look, I guess we shouldn't judge him, but we're judging.
Hmm.
He's just he gonna have to grow on me, and I don't want them dating because first of all, if they because we already see that Jules is kind of like feeling some type of way. Like I don't, Jules didn't been through too much. Like I'm a real big Jules fan,
what
and
she been through? I don't see it.
well,
I'm sorry. I feel
Transitioning,
true.
getting. She been through transitioning. They didn't even show that she been through all the men that she been messing with that like
Hmm.
okay, but
mistreated
like,
her.
okay, I give you that. I give you that. But like, she
Like
ain't been.
she
I don't
has
feel like Rue has been. I don't. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't feel like Jules has been through much more than any of these other characters in their wild ass life. I mean, transitioning. I feel like transitioning is the only thing that
Hmm.
we could say. And then, of course, the grape seed in the very first
I I
episode. That
wanna
was
I wanna know what like drove her to the point of like seeking out these type of relationships with these dudes, like just one and done type relationships, and just like the frequency at which it happened. Like I feel like they didn't dive into that enough. Like what brought her to this point? Because like some people have like a trigger that makes them kind of like promiscuous or whatever. So
right.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I mean,
feel bad for Jules, but then she be doing a lot to me sometimes. I be like, I be want to feel bad for you, Jules, but then she does too much. I'm like, okay.
what is up? Look, okay. There's a big disconnect that I have with with the fandom, except for people that don't like Cassie. Like I'm with y'all with that. But I don't know. I just don't see. I don't see how. Because someone's told me like Jules is toxic too. I'm like, how? What she be doing? Okay, because she left. Are y'all not? Y'all didn't get over with that. She tried to leave, but she came back.
So I don't think Jules. I don't dislike Jules. Like I
Okay.
like her as a character. I think with Jules, it's just she's so all over the place.
Okay.
Like her feelings and her actions don't aren't matching. They never match.
Right.
Like nothing ever matches with Jules. It's always, oh, I love everyone and da da da. But then it's very selfish. And I feel like, but yet at that age, you are tend to be very selfish.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just I feel like the the connection of how Jules acts and behaves sometimes and how emotional she always because she's always so emotional. Like everything is just
Hmm.
so like an existential crisis with
That's
Jules.
why
Like
I be feeling
anything.
like she be doing too much. She's just way too emotional. And the thing about it is, she puts herself in situations sometimes and places, and then wonders how she gets there, how she got there, and she put herself in that situation, and then she has this huge emotional kind of like outburst because of it.
Hmm.
But daughter, niece, sis, you put yourself there. Like,
Right.
how
Right. Okay.
you can listen. You cannot go to someone's yard, see that they have a pit bull, and say, "Oh, I'm gonna just go in this yard and hope everything." You go in the yard with the pit bull, you're gonna get bit. Don't come crying back to me when you get bit by the pit.
All right. So later on the show, we see that Nate's dad is on a rampage. He's trying to figure out who did this to his son. He's going to. We talked about earlier how he went to Cassie and what's the name's house and was interrogating them, and the girl done told him who it was, and we see him go to Fesco's work, like his that little place that he worked at. Um, Weird. I mean, it
Because
just
Lexi took him there. I
um,
thought at first Lexi was going there for the bust down. I was like, "Okay, Lexi, I see you, bitch."
not for the bust down.
And then it flipped the script. Dude walks in the door like he carrying a gun or some shit and rolls out with his $20
So he
bill.
absolutely did have a gun.
Oh,
I
I
was
know,
Um
terrified.
but then he pulls out this 20. She ain't tell you why I'm here. If I'm fast, I'm looking at this whore like,
I
But
was
like, I
waiting,
feel
I was
like
waiting for Ashtray so bad, and I'm like, oh please try, oh please do, because
I wanted Ash
Ashtray
to
is a
come out.
killer. Ashtray is
uh-huh.
a
I was
murderer.
waiting for Ash. I was
That
waiting for
man is a killer.
Mm-hmm.
He
I
said,
was
"We
waiting.
ready." He said, "We ready." He pulled that shit right out the
But the thing
damn
about it is,
cereal
like, with that
box.
whole scene. So with that whole scene is, I feel like Maddie was going to tell him about what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she saw what's that girl named Faye? Is that her name?
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And so she automatically assumed it was, something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, romantical going on with them. And she like, and so he like, nah, she just, she cool people. So he was trying to like, he was trying to give, he was trying to be
Maddie or
cute in the way
Lexi?
of customer
Lexi,
service. You
Uh-huh.
said what?
Lexi, right? Not Maddie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lexi. I'm
Lexi.
sorry. And did I say Maddie? I'm sorry. But I feel like Maddie was. I'm sorry, but now I'm saying it wrong on purpose. But I feel like Lexi was was going there, warn him. She's always also going there to see him. But we also see, like we were talking about last week, how Maddie has had to interact with
Yeah.
everything that goes on around her. Um,
Wait, I'm sorry. How
so
Maddie or Lexi? I'm sorry for
I'm sorry.
interrupting.
Damn. Now I'm
I,
doing it. They all got these IE names, and
I
it's
know.
weird.
Right. Like it's like,
Um,
like
Lexi.
Okay,
But we
okay.
also see how like Lexi has to interact with everything that goes around her. Like when we were
real
talking about,
Michael.
how the dad came and stole the stuff.
Hey,
And
Right.
how y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
yeah,
Good. Yes.
Okay, set up. Okay. Oh, you got the. Oh, all right.
it's
Quality.
cute. Yes, we
Yeah,
live
could you?
here.
Yeah, if you can.
But well, I'll wait.
Hold
Thank
on.
you.
Okay. Are we good now? Oh, hold on. Wait. You can go ahead. You can go ahead, Harry.
Okay. But we also see how Lexi has had to interact with everything that's going on around her because we were talking about last week how, we just kind of, Lexi's just kind of like a secondhand,
Mm-hmm.
like she's just like the off experience or she's like the one that never gets like thought of, especially in the way of her sister. Like she's kind of like her shadow. So, we see the scene where the dad had come to, steal some stuff. And Lexi catches him at the top of the stairs, but she hasn't even been talking to him. He don't even
Mm-hmm.
text her. He only been texting Cassie. So, to see him and in your house stealing your stuff because he's an addict, it's wild.
Yeah.
And Rue goes on to narrate all of the other things that goes on with Maddie and how she, just kind of doesn't see herself as this person. She
Mm-hmm.
always kind of just lets life happen to her, and she never really speaks up to her for herself. And then the one time that she could have spoken up, or the one time she did speak up for herself, it was to Rue and her addiction, and then Rue ended up overdosing. So
Mm-hmm.
um I feel like in this way she was trying to have a voice because she likes Fezco because Fezco is the only person that acts like, takes interest in her. Everybody else, just kind of treats Lexi like a shadow. Um,
Because she's
so,
boring.
Lexi could be a little annoying.
probably.
She's I
She's
don't
real
know.
mother.
She come
She
off real meddling. Like, oh, why are you doing
She's
this?
the only one that
I'm like,
acts like an actual teenager. If
Yeah.
we're gonna be honest,
no,
she's the
I
only
don't
one
feel
that acts like
like
a
that. I
regular
feel
teenager.
like she's the only one that acts kind of motherly. Like
okay.
she's real mothering to me, like or
But
parental. Like
I mean, look at what goes on in her house. Her mother
Yeah.
is a drug addict. I mean, her mother is a drunk. Her mother is a wino. And then Cassie, is just,
a
she has
whore.
Wow.
big boobs.
You said a whore. What we not gonna do?
Not a
Well,
whore. Oh
I
my
think
god.
she made a mistake. I think she just.
Twice. Didn't they have sex again this episode?
Oh
Yes.
well.
They
I
didn't
mean,
have,
she's a whore.
I mean, that just goes into that whole thing where she like ran off, and I guess.
but the way I'm sorry, the way she ran, it was like,
Not the way
Right.
she ran.
Like
Oh,
she was in
chase
Friday
me.
the 13th movie.
it's like, girl, you didn't want to escape him. You was
Right.
praying that you was like, oh, I hope he come back, girl.
I
And
mean,
then and
it's
then and then the nastiness, the audacity of doing what they did in a where was it, an abandoned house. That's all
no, it
types
was
of
like a house under construction.
that's a
Right.
all types of STDs you could get. The pricks up your booty and up everything else. Like I was
I'm
like,
That
crying.
house could have
Richard,
collapsed, child. I'm like, what is going on
Richard,
with this?
is it that deep? Is it that good? And other people was talking about on Twitter. They was like, I just think it's funny how he's so eager to give Cassie head, but he didn't give Maddie no head.
Mm.
mm,
I don't, I don't know what y'all thought about that. I thought that was funny.
But I feel like so in that scene, in that particular scene, he also tells Cassie that like he was like, "Do you understand the power that you have?" And I'm like, what is going on?"
Honestly, I think he just wanted to have Cassie because she was connected to old boy McCain. Yeah,
McKay.
I think
McKay,
that was a whole that was a whole fantasy for him.
McKay.
but my thing about it is, in first of all, you and Cassie ain't that connected and ain't that bonded. Where you done made this spiritual situation, y'all fucked. Let's
That
just be
part. That part.
it. It was a good fuck. The bitch might have had some good cooch, and that's it. But you probably make it like y'all have lifelong bonds, and if you don't sit your ass down, if you don't sit your ass down, but it was like,
Yeah.
I guess. Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know. The episode was just weird. Um. So Nate's dad, and I guess he confronts his son, as like about like why didn't you tell me about the drug? Why didn't the drug dealer you tell me that he was who he was or whatever? And then that's when he goes into explaining like, hey, there's a tape out with you know.
But the line, remember that classmate you fucked? I died. I threw my phone.
Right.
He tried to clean that shit up real quick. He was like, I didn't know he was a classmate, and I didn't know she was she.
Mm-mm.
Right. Mm-mm.
Get it together. You a
Got a
pedophile. Hold that
definite
pedophile.
fetish.
Well, he explained the whole story, and you just see him just sitting there, just dumb on his face. He's like, I just want to apologize. Boy, shut up. Shut
Right.
up. You need to apologize for making us watch you eat ass in the beginning of the episode. That's what you need to do. Because that shit
I'm
was foul too.
crying.
You remember that?
In the beginning of this episode, who
Yes.
I'm crying.
Yeah.
I know not. Cassie? Wait, hold on. See, it was so much going on in that beginning.
No, it was they said it was like some black dude or somebody. I don't think it was
Oh
Cassie.
yeah,
It was the little
Mhm.
Latino boy from one of the other videos, but it was just it was a lot. And that whole dad situation is also very weird to me. It's so gross. It's so gross.
Like it's like I don't know what they're trying to. I don't know what the writers and the creators trying to say here. Like it's what is the solution? What is the conclusion of this? You know, this story arc. This family is just messed up, and it's like y'all not getting any better. It's getting worse every
So
day.
I think we're gonna get into it next episode because I watched the previews for next episode, and I think we're gonna get into what is Nate's dad's problem next week. But it's weird.
But
Yeah.
I think that's literally like the whole. I feel like that's really the whole point to make people see how demented a lot of people are. Because this happens. This really does happen way more frequently than we, want to think about. Like when you are in those spaces in those areas with people, like that, they do a lot of stuff like that. It's a lot of things that are just swept under the rug because accountability is not a thing when it comes to them. They would much rather you just suffer what you're gonna suffer and hide that shit so your life can remain quote unquote perfect. Like it's just it happens a lot. So and I do think it's just about your perspective, like and where you've been, because a lot of people say like this show's so unrealistic. This shit is to the T real what I was experiencing in high school. Like not me personally, but like I said, I know each one of these characters. I know each one of these characters. I've seen them in the light of day. I've experienced them and I've had conversations with these people. This shit is 100% real. It's just everybody don't experience it, and honestly, I'm jealous because
Not no.
it really.
I'm not jealous.
No,
My
I'm
question is,
blessed.
I want to know where you went to high school at, because I'm
Washington,
from a very
Washington,
suburban. I'm sorry,
Washington,
Washington
Washington. You
D.C.
ever
or
been to
state?
Washington State?
I've been to Seattle, yes. But what
Yes.
I'm saying is, I grew up in a very metropolitan area, and this is very fanciful for my metropolitan area that I grew up in. Like, we're
Mm.
looking at this like, and this is
Must be
not black,
nice.
this is white, black, blue, and purple alike. We all looking at this show like, what?
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but it's to me, it's just I don't know.
So like I feel like I said, I feel like a lot of this stuff is realistic, but I feel like the frequency and the magnitude in which it happens
Yeah.
is just very
Yeah.
that's over the top.
That is I could definitely agree with that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a show. They need to keep you coming back every week. So
Yeah.
of course they're gonna take situations and blow them up. They definitely blow them up. But this stuff happens, like the fans in the party situation with Nate.
Mhm.
oh yeah,
Nate
now that happened. Now I will agree with that. Each one of these situations you can see in a bubble, yeah, that should happen. You
yeah.
got somebody at high school that is an adult being a crackhead like Rue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the fans. These things happen, but this perfect storm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What know,
Like this
situation
whole
that
school
one
is like
time.
a mental hospital. They all need to be checked in.
And
Yeah.
I do think they were just trying to fit so much into a little package, excuse me, because maybe in the first season they was like, we really know we not that good of writers to keep a show going, so we're gonna try to keep a whole bunch of shit. Because when if you keep it
Shock
real,
value.
the dialogue is
Little
disgusting.
subpar.
It's disgusting.
The dialogue, yeah. I mean, it's like you
And
said.
that's why I get so frustrated. Shit. I write and I teach writing. I'll be looking at some of like you said, the dialogue, and I'll be looking like, wait a minute.
Like,
Or when I
huh?
get some of the story arcs, and I'm like, no,
I had to rewind some of
no.
this. I'm like, do you, honey, sis said that, girl?
Yeah.
Like, girl.
So I
No,
do think that
they said they was talking about like unrealistic things that they said like when in the beginning when not Hunter, Jules, she told Kat, she was like, girl, this isn't the 80s, you need to catch a dick. And they're like, who even talks like that? Like that was what a lot of people would say.
Girl, this isn't the 80s. Like,
Like, girl, you weren't even thought of when the 80s was around. Your
on some
parents
catching dick,
barely thought
catching
of.
dick, not even get some dick, catch a dick. That's what takes me out. But
first of all,
yeah,
they cannot go a single episode without showing some peen though. Like that part with Cat and that damn lumberjack guy, whoever the hell that man is.
Right.
And it was
The
just like
man. And I was like, oh.
it was like
And that's also something I've just never been prepared for with this show. It's so much male full frontal nudity, and I get it that it is a double standard in like media, but it's just so awkward. Like I'm used to seeing boobs and maybe a little, and maybe a labia or two. Like it's just, oh, okay, naked woman, but
But I
like
see a high school
full
little boy.
on frontal, I just be
Okay.
like, this is a lot.
no, but honestly, if they did not put all this shock value into the show, would we be talking about it?
no.
If it was simply just the dialogue without all the fluff,
We just spoke to the fact that the writers are a little subpar, so they kind of
So-
need that.
it seems like, because how can
What
you
I
sit at the table?
also
What you gonna say?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was basically gonna say like it's apparent like how can you all sit at the table and you got all these stories that you're pulling from probably personal experience or Reddit,
Not Reddit.
and then you can't even make them
I'm
no
crying.
good dialogue to fill in the blanks. Like really, the dialogue could really eat in this show. It really could. It
And
really could.
That's how you know they probably either. I'm not going to even say read it. It's just something that they saw. You know what I'm saying? On another because they didn't even get the dialogue right. You know what I'm saying? So they heard half parts of the story, and they said, "Oh, that sounds good," and they put that in.
Yeah, but
But
it doesn't follow with substance, like
right,
a
the
meaning. What is the meaning of this? Like, why are we going through?
That's my whole question to
Yeah,
especially Rue's storyline. Why, like, what are we supposed to get to at the end? Does she achieve sobriety? Does she realize something major about herself, or are we just
well, that
watching this
she died
girl,
with drug overdose. I
or do
mean,
she die?
You know, I did have a theory, like maybe the narrating will get better when she gets mentally better, but also, what if she just die and then she becomes like this ultimate, seeing eye, this third party, so where she can really narrate and get the stories really clear, like, oh, let me take you back to when this happened, because when I was on drugs, I couldn't really get into the tea like how I can now that I'm dead. I'm seeing it all. That'd be cute. That'd
I
be
don't
real
know.
cute.
And now that I'm
It's a little
dead,
too.
now
It's a
she
little,
gonna be in the raft.
it's a little
Now
too
she gonna be
supernatural,
up in the
honey.
rafters.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
I think it'd be cute.
Now
It'll
she gonna
work.
be
It
in the
would.
rafters
The
like
road,
MC
the road
Light at
they
the
going
BET
down.
Awards.
Like,
I'm
yeah,
we
screaming.
we were talking about how is Rue like in all this situation? Like, how does she know what's going on and everything? We've seen, and we didn't bring it up yet. We've seen a part where like Rue catches like Cassie running to Nate's car or whatever, and she's looking like,
Mm-hmm.
"What's going on over
yeah,
here?"
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I think
But my thing
this
about it
that's
is,
the key on how Maddie's gonna find out.
yeah. My thing about it is, if Rue is gonna be this epic crackhead, at least make her a profound crackhead. Like you know those
We're not
people who
not
be struck out
profound.
and they get smart.
Not as
No, but
People
I didn't
who
know
be
there was
struck out,
levels.
screaming.
but they get way more poignant and way more
Mm-hmm.
prolific and
Mm-hmm.
profound in their, crackheadedness. You
Yep.
know, yeah. That ain't Rue. She ain't even doing that.
She's a blank
Ah!
wall, and
So
that's
what you're
and
saying
that's
is she's not your friendly neighborhood crackhead that
not your
always
friendly
got
But
neighborhood
Nope,
something to
crackhead.
nope.
tell you.
have her a whole ass crackhead
I
to get
understand. I can see where I can see, because you know what, in the black neighborhood, it's always a crackhead that got a word for you. I ain't
A
gonna lie,
word.
Well,
there's a
they be done
A
crackhead
see
in every
some
word.
black
shit.
that got a
You know
word
the
for you.
crackheads, come on. They be to see some shit like, nah.
Mhm.
Talk to
They
you
can tell no,
like
really,
this.
crackheads be able to tell you the entire future in the right
Exactly.
neighborhood.
I'm
You
crying.
so called
People,
crackhead, and he tell
it's
you
Zendaya. It is
And they
Zendaya.
be on point. They
She's
be
a
on
on
point.
point,
They
personality
do.
actress.
on
They be
point.
on
The
point.
crackheads be on
Which
point.
Ah,
Like
which is like,
crackheads be knowing.
but let me just say this. Let me just say this. She's Zendaya. Like, she's a personality actress. First of all, like she played
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of her roles are. I'm not trying to say she's typecasted, but like, come on now.
Yeah,
She
it wouldn't
is
be a
a
lie.
drug addict MJ on here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like MJ, like when you look at her
Yeah,
other films, the other stuff that she's doing, like it's like, okay,
She's good
bleach.
at
she's trying to
comedy
show the
though.
girls I'm not a Disney girl no more.
I
So
feel like she's a good
I'm gonna do this
But,
satire
correctly.
girl.
they like
Yeah.
articles, so that's why she gets in a lot of stuff for her
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
look. Not really for her acting ability, but because she has the look that they're looking for, because they're looking, you know, a lot more what they call mixed breeds.
Well,
not misery. Oh
I
my
also
well,
didn't
god.
want her to be.
Oh,
I
What did
also
he
didn't.
do?
No,
Well,
that's
well,
the term.
well, well.
That's the term
that's
that they
true.
have. I'm
That's
serious.
true. But also, I think they need to fantasize. They need to take as much room as they can, and like they can't have no crackhead that really look like a crackhead. Rue, she like, oh, that's a crackhead, but she's giving, like she's serving, like
not what
it's
she's
that's
giving.
why she's there.
Crackheads
No,
be sexy.
no, because she's cute. Whether or not you admit it or want to admit it, she be looking a mess, but she's cute. A cute bitch is a cute bitch. Period.
Okay.
At the
Regardless.
end of the day, so
Right.
they could have put a Raggedy Ann up on her for real. They could have and had her up in her struggling and really acting.
Well, that just goes to a lot of people say the glamorization of like trauma and like real issues that people go through. It's like glamorized on this show.
Yeah.
which is why I was so disappointed in like this whole conversation around Kat and how she feels about herself. I thought it was good, and I thought it was good and boring at the same time. Like, well, I shouldn't say boring, but it wasn't
Just like
done
redundant.
well. Yeah.
I felt like she
Yeah.
been through that last season. Like that was okay. You got
Well,
confident.
it was more of the okay, so now we're here. But I
Mhm.
feel like they used the fat girl to be the one, I hate myself. And then all of the
I can agree with
influencers
that.
in her room
Yeah.
kind of telling
And
her to,
then,
be a boss bitch and boss up
and
and
then
love
it's
yourself and all of that
all
stuff.
happening for her. It's
Um,
all happening for her, like isolated. Like
Mm.
this is all happening. Like nobody else is involved. She's not letting anybody else know. Like it's just like okay, you had this isolated scene with her, and I get what you were trying to do, and I get the point, but you end up saying, okay, what was the point of that? Because where do we go from here? Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, she still ended up at the goddamn bowling alley with
Ethan.
well,
Ethan.
bro.
Mhm.
so he was like, yeah, you just wanted to show me a peen. I think it was gratuitous to show us a peen.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I think she's
And I'm
still
here for all peen. I'm here for all peen.
she is still like playing this perfect Patty role. Like, okay, everybody's saying that the relationship is good, so let me just act like it is, even though I'm really going through it and it's not really working, and I don't know what to do. I think a lot of people have been there before. Like, you stick by somebody just because everybody said, "Oh, he's
I'm gonna
good for
stick
you,
beside him.
good for
I'm
you,"
sticking
and,
by
and, and you're good, but you're really not feeling nothing. Like like I said, I think I said this yesterday on live. Like I was like, I know people that are literally going through this as I'm speaking, like married and all. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
And
feel like Kat's
I,
situation is the most realistic for high school, for
Yeah.
so high school. Like her situation
Uh,
is
I feel it. No, no, no. I
that is
agree.
a realistic high school situation where everybody thinks that you are the it or you got what they want, and in your mind you like no,
okay, yeah, in that situation, yeah, but like
you
Cat's
kind
life in
of trying to
general is
find
not. It's
yourself
just.
and figure yourself out.
I feel like Cat's life in general is just as fanciful as all the other characters. I feel
It's
like this
lame.
particular, um, I feel like this particular situation is very realistic. But like when she was doing the webcam show last season, no, absolutely not.
Oh, not
And
Cat.
No, I'm
Whenever
talking
y'all
about
say Cat, I
specifically
always think y'all
this
talking
situation,
about
not
Lexi. My bad.
yeah, I'm not
Let me clarify. Lexi is boring. Cat is not.
Yeah.
Lexi is just
but
me.
Lexi is the only one that has a realistic teenage
But
life.
she be
Yeah.
annoying though. I'm like,
She's
girl,
boring. Boo.
She's
She makes
you know what?
fun of.
pretentious.
One person you'd be like, "Damn mom" or "Damn dad." She gives that.
she
Yeah.
gives she doesn't give me high school. She gives me that well, I shouldn't say that. She gives me that one friend you have in high school that always try to do the right thing and try to be real motherly, and you have to bitch, leave me
You
alone.
gotta cuss her
Go
out
get
when
you
you
some
get
shoe head
time.
ass. Captain
Is you
Save the
going or
Hug.
not?
Yes.
Is you going or not? Because we
Yeah.
going. We
That was me. I was the friend that would be hello. Yeah. I'm snitching.
And wouldn't nobody
Period.
bring
And would
you
snitch.
after
Like I got all my friends' mama's numbers. Like I was that person that they'll call like,
Uh-uh.
hey Mike,
Not
do
your
you
friend's
know where
mama's
so and so
numbers and
is?
you
Do you know
telling. Oh, no.
I
See,
was
we couldn't
definitely
be
picking up the
friends.
phone.
I had to.
Oh, you
That was
definitely
gonna be.
I would have
call
just talked to you in class, but beyond that, I would have been
You
like,
could have
nah.
tried, but people love me. People absolutely adore
Oh,
me.
you
So
got fucked up.
it wasn't
Oh,
even
you
like
got fucked up.
it
Oh, you
wasn't
got
even like
fucked up.
oh yeah, he's
You would have
snitching,
had
he's
one
snitching,
time.
he's
You would
snitching.
have had
Everybody
one
come to
time to
me
Literally.
like
snitch.
You call
you
wait,
really
you calling
do
my
care. I'm not calling. I'm not calling, but if they call me, I'm snitching. I'm not
Well,
no
gonna
man,
get caught up with
no
you.
ma'am, no
Yeah.
ma'am, no
Lexi,
ma'am.
I don't think
No
Lexi's
ma'am.
at that point though, but I think she just, yeah, she just, I don't know. I feel like she just trying to see. She
She
probably,
doesn't add anything, and everyone's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just want to clarify that because every time y'all say Cat, I don't know why I think y'all talking about Lexi.
Yeah.
Cat, I like Cat, I mess
It's
with,
something about
but
these names, like,
yeah, but the
What
whole like,
Their
big girl
white girl
being
name.
the whole big girl being ashamed of her body thing, like it's so played out,
yeah,
and
we've
I
like
seen it
mean,
so
how
but
many.
many times are we
in
gonna go
that
through it?
in that climate, like, of course, not every plus size woman is ashamed of her body, but
Mhm.
in those schools where if you're not a size 2, because they don't even want you to have ass, they don't want you to be a little bit thick,
I would
like
have
or
loved for that to
curvaceous. Like
um
Maddie is pushing
if
it
they
for
would have
them.
given Maddie that and made Maddie go through that, I would have been like,
Mm.
interesting.
That's what I was about to say. I do wish Kat's character and her whole persona was for a gay person instead of a girl, because
Hmm.
I do think that is a topic that needs to be taken in hand, the over sexualization of young gay men
Yeah,
and what we
It
go
ain't,
through.
I think gay men and I mean, being
Yeah,
gay
but no,
is
but I'm
uh,
specifically talking
come
about
on.
the over sexualization of the twinks and how there are 34-year-old men who are consistently having sex with 18-year-old boys. I do feel like that's extremely realistic, and the hypersexualization that gay guys at a young age do to themselves. You see these guys on
There are
Twitter.
34-year-old men too having sex with 18-year-old girls as
That's
well.
true. That's true. That's true. But I do think since we have so much of the girls, like we have Maddie, we have Cassie, that role that they wrote for Kat should I do think it would have been better typecasted as a gay man, because that right there would have been like, okay, this is something to think about. This is something that we aren't seeing over and over again in the show. That's personally what I feel, because I do feel like that is a topic that we need to address, because when you don't give people the space to pretty much be out and proud, like, oh, you can't put a gay cartoon character on TV without somebody saying they're trying to turn their kids gay. And that putting that character in that position will show the effects of not showing what gay people go through, not having
I think you also
representation.
have to think of the fact that there are a lot of 18-year-old young men that look for 34-year-olds as well.
But
Not just
that's
no.
my whole point. That's my whole point. The reason why is because we don't have any representation of regular gay people from day-to-day basis. We only see ourselves in the dead of night. You only see gays on TV in the club or being the sassy gay friend. And even still, they're constantly talking about dick and cock and fucking all the time. That
And
right
there's no
there
real
would have been
conversation about what they experience in
no
relationships
real
and everything
conversation.
like that.
So
Well,
I do think
I
that
think
role would have been better
I
for
mean,
a
let's
gay
look at the
guy.
gay representation in this show. I mean, we had. Oh no, I was about to bring up their father. I'm like,
Even still in the show, the only depiction you see of gay people is us fucking in the dead of night, being ashamed of ourselves. That right
but
there,
I think
that
too.
whole storyline for Cat would have been amazing for somebody gay.
I think a lot of it deals with generational and how things have progressed. With there being a lot more. Say what you want. There's a lot more tolerance of LGBTQIA, and there's a lot more of you being able to see LGBTQIA that was not even possible, in years past, and not
yeah,
that long ago. And so I think with that happening, what the gay community got away from, especially specifically in the Black gay community, they got away from the older gays having like gay families where you would have like stuff that you see like on Pose and stuff, where you have, that's my gay mom or that's my gay dad, and would teach you the ropes and they would show you real living, gay
But
people that actually lied and
even
things
still
like that.
then, there are perverted gay mothers and gay fathers who take
There are,
advantage of those
but that is in the
kids.
straight as well.
So there
So
are, but like the original intention of a ballroom or a vogue or ballroom families was to take care of each other.
yeah.
yeah,
I
That was
think it
that was
got
the intention.
yeah,
things
I know.
got
I'm
things.
a part of a gay family still to this day.
Mhm.
I have a gay mother and a gay father. My mom sought people out to teach me because she didn't know anything about being gay. I know, but even still, those people who were supposed to be, protecting and teaching were, oh, you look good. Come sit on my lap. Da 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 da. Da. That's still in the mix, because you got to remember, these are still men who have trauma and who have not dealt with their trauma, haven't had a healthy space to deal with their trauma. They're thrown into adulthood, and immediately not even before you get 18. Shit, you're 16. The minute you have a ability to show yourself in a palatable light, they're trying to hump you. They're trying to hump you.
I think as someone, oh, continue. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
I think as someone, because I'm trying to hopefully, become a writer someday. And like one of the things I'm tired of seeing is like gay people, queer people, lesbians, just queer people in general always suffering, always like someone always dies, someone's always going through the most. And like, so personally, I wouldn't have really wanted to see them in this show, because I want to see more shows and more films with just queer people living their life, living in their truth, and living like regular lives, going through regular stuff. And more of what I
I
want to see
agree.
is like us like going through relationships, just like everyone else goes through relationships, like getting
Yeah.
cheated on, going through like issues with communication, financial stuff, like whatever. Like, so I personally, I feel like if they would have tried to put gay people in this show, it would have ended up in like inevitably being sexualized because everything in the show is super sexual.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think,
Mm.
Mhm.
Jenna,
And the
to your
director. Mm,
to
gotcha.
your point, and real quick,
Mm.
when I teach like some of the writing, especially with black cinema and stuff like that, you got to look at, and I'm equating, I'm making this parallel. You got to look at one of the things we talk about is the history of black cinema, where we were always subservient and we could never get, main casting. But then you had shows that did, like you had the Good Times era, where we were always downtrodden, and it took that late '80s era of black writing, where you had the Cosby shows, the different worlds, that then led to like a Living Single and Fresh Prince of Bel Air, where you saw it go in stages, and they went from being this one typecast where you saw us doing well and being affluent, and then we could get to more normal depictions of it, and it needs to be the same way in our LGBTQIA community. Yeah, we had our poses of the world, but one of the shows that I appreciate the most is like a Noah's Ark, where they
Yeah.
were just all very
We from
successful.
Noah's Ark.
They were all good friends, and it wasn't a whole lot of
Oh,
you
that
know.
singer.
But it was great watching. We
Uh-huh.
had jobs, careers. Yeah, we was having sex because we're men and we have testosterone and
Yeah.
we like
Right.
sex. But they were successful. They were friends. People didn't have to die. People weren't losing their job.
And I
It
want to
was
see more
great
of that.
watching.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, I
is
feel
what
like
makes it.
and I feel like film and series it's we're in this space of just like this trauma porn era where it's like trauma, 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 and it's
Mhm.
like
Whether it's black, whether it's queer, is always like let's show the worst, or
These
whether it's
girls
about
don't
yeah,
know
the
how to
female
write. They
experience.
really don't have no depth. They don't have no perspective. It's a whole bunch of white straight men sitting around the table like, what's new? Like, what can we talk about? What can we benefit from? What can like that's one thing. And like, I get what you're saying. I know exactly. I feel that too, Jenna. That's why I like a lot of this black trauma stuff and anything that has to do with gay people. When it's traumatic, I turn this shit off.
Straight up,
I
straight up.
mean,
Off.
when you look at the other side, the white tees, okay, you got Love Simon, Love Victor. Well, Victor is dead,
Yes.
but whatever. But Love Simon, it was like and I love that movie. But I'm like, dang, I'm like, we can't have that.
We can't.
Like, what is
And
so hard about
then
making stuff like that? Like, why can't we just live in our truth? Why can't we just be happy? Why can't we just be regular people instead of it always
mm-hmm.
being about everything sucky about being black or
Yep.
everything sucky about being queer? Like, oh my God, black queer
I
people are just
don't.
like you. Like, why don't we get that? Like, it's just
Yeah, I don't think so. For me, I don't have an issue with like I know a lot of people take issue with like trauma films or what is considered trauma films, but I don't have an issue with those things because I feel like those are also if you don't know the
they're
history of
necessary.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're necessary. They're necessary stories. So if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. Very cliche.
Valid.
They're necessary,
But
but they're in excess at this point.
We
They're
gotta have.
right, I
necessary,
do
but it's
think that they are in excess. I do think that that is something that is very that should change. I do because one of my favorite shows is Living Single. One of my favorite shows is Noah's Ark.
Mhm.
A different world. I do feel like there can be. I mean, even Insecure. Like I feel like there can be stories that are told, but it's not necessarily a black show. I always say you don't necessarily have to have the black show. You can always
right,
have
right.
the show with a bunch of black people because
Yes,
and tell life through a specifically black lens.
yes.
Um, so because like I say, like I always say, Insecure, while it was a show full of black people,
It wasn't
it
a
wasn't
black
the black
show.
show.
Yeah.
But you
Mm.
do. But the reason black people love it so much is because it's told from a black perspective. It is told specifically in a way that black people understand the
Yeah.
nuance and the experience. Because a lot of this is like having a thug yoga in your apartment building. Like I literally have a thug yoga in my apartment
Yeah.
building. Like it's not like so like these experiences or those those things or certain things that your mama say all the time that every black mother says. It's just it's like we all find it funny or we all can relate to that because we know somebody like that or we have somebody personal to us that is like that. So So yeah, I don't know. I do, but like I do agree that the trauma films are excessive, or the trauma media is excessive as of lately. But I do feel like there are certain
Also,
stories that need to be told, because otherwise,
It's just in
where do
moderation
what
people
I
because
learn?
don't,
Yeah,
have,
it should be
I
some
don't
type of
want.
a happy medium. I
yeah.
liked how they did, and I'm so mad that they got rid of it. But Generation, that was on HBO Max. It had a lot. It had a decent amount of actors I knew from. Y'all never heard of Generation?
No,
I've heard of it. I watched it.
You watched it?
I liked it.
I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What
Like
I
it was
did,
like
what I don't want to happen with this show is queer baiting, and you get a lot of
Yeah,
shows now
I
that
hate it.
have this gratuitous ancillary gay character. You're like, okay, why are they here? Why are they like this?
Yeah.
Like,
It's to
that's not
draw
what.
it's
Why?
to draw queer audiences in because they
yeah.
know like they feel
Yeah,
like that's on the come up right now, and to me it's just disgusting.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like
queer
if you're
baiting,
not gonna do it, don't do it.
it's insidious. It makes me
Because
upset.
they be so one dimensional. Like I'm gonna
Even
keep beating the
like
dead horse, huh?
even like on the reality shows like the Housewives and all of those other reality shows where they have the one, you know,
Assistant, stylist.
right, and I call it the pocket punk, who is
Mm-hmm.
Not a
way over the top and just way, kind of
And,
pop.
They're like,
and the
It's
thing
like,
is,
girl,
it's the way that people try to depict gay people as like we're just so dramatic. No, baby, black people are dramatic in general.
period.
We are extremely expressive because we feel what we feel, and we're not liars. We're not liars about our emotions. In other cultures, they lie. They sit back and lie. Oh, I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. Da, da, da,
We'll
da,
be
da.
like,
And then
fuck
go talk
that.
all this shit behind your back. Black people know right here, right now, bitch, you got me fucked up. Period. Period. And as a gay black man who's experienced, consistent, slaps to the face, all this bullshit, of course you're gonna be on defense like, bitch, yeah, come on. I want you to, because I'm not even about to play with you. I've had enough of this. So I can't understand, why we are depicted like this. I just don't want it to be looked at in a negative light, because I get so sick of black people like, oh, that's so ghetto. That's so yes, yes. And we do it
Also,
the best. We
al-
should be ghetto. We should be loud. We should be proud. We should be expressive. We don't need to fit in the confines of this world that
we don't need to
capitalism and
conform. Yeah.
misogynistic, misogyny, all this shit that we trying to conform to is ridiculous. We are expressive human beings. We are that way for a reason. We need to be looking at them saying, y'all are boring. Y'all are pale. Y'all are tasteless. Y'all are hiding your emotions.
Y'all putting me to sleep.
Okay, hold on, wait.
But also my thing, I'm
Look,
tired of the like whenever it's a gay character or
uh,
lesbian character specifically, like that's their whole personality. Like, oh, he's gay and that's it. Or oh, she's
But that's what they
lesbian and
do.
that's it.
That's what
it's
And
they
very
do to
there's
in
seldom.
real
It's
nothing
very
life.
else.
seldom that you see a gay character that actually just acts like a human being and not just like a caricature of what.
you're
Yeah,
right.
it's a lot. It's just because a lot of directors and
True.
people that write for these characters, they don't understand the lifestyle of certain. Like people would say, like, "Oh my God, Moonlight was such ahead of its time, and it definitely deserved the Oscar that it."
Was that me?
Child,
Was that me who felt
child, I hate
like it
Moonlight. Oh,
wasn't
I love Moonlight, but I hate it
Moonlight
at the
was a
same time.
snooze fest for me.
okay? Okay, I thought I was
Was
crazy.
it? Y'all didn't like
This
I
the
didn't
Moonlight?
think
cinema
it was
the
a food
cinematography
fest.
was on
Was
point, but it was like
beautiful.
everything
Yeah.
else. I was
I
like,
think I liked it the first time watching it because I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like this is a gay movie." I didn't even know it was. Like I
but
literally came into
that's
it thinking it was something
that's
else.
the thing. That's the thing that I want to change. We shouldn't have to
Mm.
settle for shitty plots, shitty dialogue, shitty
Just
movies
because this
I
because
is
didn't
what
think it
you
oh,
in.
was
this is
a.
all we
I don't
have.
think. I mean, even though it's very off topic, even though Moonlight is very off topic. But I didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought it was
I
good.
didn't think
I
it was
enjoy
very
Yeah,
bad.
Moonlight.
it's
I
not
was,
it's
It's
not
one of my
bad.
faves.
But
It's
you don't
very
have
much
much to
boring
pick
though.
from, so you think like, oh, okay, I guess this
Yeah.
is fine. Like we do that way
Uh,
too much.
Yeah,
Because
I'm sorry, like
Damn,
honestly,
we do
call me
that way too much.
messy.
experience.
right.
Imagine a coming of age story for a young black gay man. All the things that could be fit into that story. In the first 30 minutes, you're gonna be like, "Oh, girl, this is some good shit," and it don't have to be traumatic. It
At
doesn't have to
all.
be something. You could literally go on the experiences that they've had, learning their talents, learning their gifts,
Mhm.
coming to realize who they are. Little glimpses of themselves in the mirror instead of seeing them being abused and
Okay, but
being
let me just
attacked.
say, let me just say this though. We did get that a little bit with Pose. I know Pose had a lot of crazy stuff that happened, a lot of
Yeah,
trauma that happened, but we had those moments
but
still.
that's not it's not enough for me. I want more. We got
And I mean,
8,500 million different shows. I refuse
Pose
to be
is
saying, "Oh,
very
that's enough. That's
specific.
enough."
Pose is also
No.
a very specific community. While one of Pose was a very specific
Yep,
timeline.
very.
Yeah.
And
It was
then
all
two's
community.
Pose is a very specific community. Like the ballroom community is very specific.
Yeah.
So you can't. While yes, there were parts. Of course there were parts of the queer experience that everybody goes through. It was not Ballroom is not one of those things
Mhm.
where you can just pick out of for being of being gay. Like it's a very specific experience. Everybody
Right.
that is gay is
I
not a
feel
part of
like
Ballroom.
one area that's not tapped into that you really get a lot of is the high achieving and successful gays. Like you have those black gays, the ones who went to college who did the right thing and are doing it, and their whole
Get
circle
into
of
it.
friends
Get
is
into it.
very elitist,
And,
very
and,
elitist.
mhm. and,
They
and,
going
and
out of town, across the
Mhm.
pond, several times a year,
yep.
like looking down beneath you. Like I want to see that because we need all different genres. Or the gym rat gays who only have sex with each other and only dating.
Mm-hmm.
Them gym girls who go to the
Yeah.
They all look the same in the club, child.
and they
Cruising.
just
They cruising.
They look you up and down if you are extra size. I'm like, what you doing in
I
here?
don't know what to
We
do
know.
there.
We know. Because honestly, the gay community is the most enlightened community there is on the face of this earth. Period.
Yeah.
Period. We have so
Mhm.
much nuance and so much perspective that no other community has. Period. Especially the
But let
gay
me
black
just let
community.
me let
I
me let
must
me
say,
let
I'm
me just say
always
this
say
though.
being gay is real homophobic. Um,
That's a word. That's a word.
Okay.
That's a word.
The word. What you say, Darren? What you gonna say?
No, I wanted us to circle back at Euphoria because
Oh,
I feel
sorry.
like this is a really
Oh
good
yeah, we are talking
conversation.
about it
It's a
before.
really good conversation for another time. But I feel like if y'all
Sorry.
do want to have this, we can do something separate because this is a lot of sparks that we can have with this.
Yes.
I want to go back to Euphoria. I want to get your guys' final thoughts before we wrap the show.
Free
Yeah.
Cassie. Free Nate's mom.
Okay.
Free Cassie. Cassie
Cassie.
imprisoned herself.
Yes.
We're not
Free
gonna
Nate's
stop
mom,
saying
no.
this. Cassie
Free Nate's
imprisoned
mom, because
herself.
Nate's
Check
mom is
yourself
going
herself.
Free
through
Miss
it.
Jacobs. Free Miss Jacobs.
Nate's
Yeah, now
mom,
next mom maybe, but
she
not
needs to
Cassie.
she need to step up and be like, you know what? I'm tired of
Yeah.
this shit that's going on here. We need to
She's
talk
like
this
a
out.
prop. Like she don't even be
Tired.
anything. She's
She
like
is.
a prop. She
I
don't
get
be
a
doing.
little,
She
I
just
get a little
like
She might as
backbone.
well be furniture.
Well, did y'all see the sneak peek?
what?
I haven't seen the sneak peek.
You didn't see the sneak
No,
peek?
no, no,
It's a lot of.
So
It'd be so fast. I'm like, is this
So
really
I
gonna happen?
definitely think that the next episode, because I did watch the previews, I definitely think the next episode is absolutely about Nate's dad.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we understand. Because I said this in the last panel we had about how a lot of those women just let a whole bunch of shit fly. Yeah, and this is something we could segue about why people that outside the race, whatever, but we're not. But if they, I just think it's so like I think Nate's story is just so necessary. Like no matter how tired people think it is, him and his dad, I think that's extremely necessary because people don't understand how much stuff is being hidden in those communities, and they try to show a picture perfect lifestyle.
I just need people to stop standing Nate. Like, oh
yeah.
They was
if you-
standing Nate all summer. I'm like,
I
do
was
y'all
like,
did you not see
girl.
this first season? Like,
I
had to check my best friend because she was like, oh, Nate cute. I'm like,
I'm over it,
Bitch,
over it
you wanna die?
because
Like,
the reason
Nate
I'm
is
over
far
it is because of what we just talked about. I'm sick of seeing the story of the quintessential white boy that's supposed to be the protagonist, and I'm supposed to feel bad for him or supposed to feel some way about him. I really don't care, Nate.
Yeah.
I hope every
But he's
horrible
not.
thing.
Is he a protagonist?
I thought he was
he's
an
the
antagonist.
antagonist. He the villain.
Yeah.
I don't.
I just think Rue needs some more words. To be honest, like her dialogue with other characters just is so tired to me. Like I don't know. Like it just I wish they connected in the show. Like really, really how she is like interacting with these people and getting the tea. Like that. I feel like that would add a whole nother layer to the show personally because it just don't be making sense how she just be knowing so much shit and Really, people don't be
Well, I
saying
feel
nothing
like,
to her.
do we feel like she knows the tea because she's finding it out some way, or is she
She be
just,
high as
is
shit
she,
and she just
or
stay
do
quiet.
she,
I mean, I think
or is
know
she just
what
the
it is when
narrator? Because I feel like
Rue is
sometimes
Delulu.
because
Yeah,
I
she
feel like
is.
sometimes because just because they're the main character, they narrate the show. Just kind of like with Grey's Anatomy, where
Yeah.
Meredith is just the narrator. She probably don't know, like the character
Yeah,
itself may
you
not
can't
have
know
all
all
the
that.
information,
Mhm.
but
I've never
because
seen Grey's
she's the main
Anatomy.
character, they are
She
the
just so
narrator
happened to be
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, right.
That makes sense.
I've never seen Grey's Anatomy.
Ooh,
Oh, child. Well, we ain't got that.
It's too
we ain't got
long.
nothing to talk about then.
If you haven't started it, just give up.
I've never got to watch it. I don't.
Yeah,
Right.
I
it's a
love
lot.
me some Grey's
If
Anatomy.
you
Look,
didn't catch it when
I'm
it was
19
airing,
seasons in, and I ain't
yeah.
stopping. Thank you.
Period.
If you didn't catch it when it was airing, it's just you pay it dust.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was our, review of episode 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers so I can use the community tab because,
We're trying to get you to 1,000 so you can get to your
We're trying to
community
get to
tab.
the 10K,
Your
honey.
oh,
I know.
Yes.
keep on going
A
up.
Period.
million, baby.
Period.
To the top, take
Period.
your way to the
Because you know
top.
the vibes.
Period.
Round and round.